Everyone. It's Wednesday, one of my favorite days of the week, if not the favorite day of the week. I wish everyone a great day, and I hope you all had a great Mother's Day. This show today is related to and honoring Mother's Day. It's a week late, but it's okay. We can honor it a week afterward. Whew. All right. So the topic today is the female nature. Remember last week I worked on my conflict, my own personal conflict with the female nature that my female nature had with my male nature, because every single human, every single one of us has been both men and women. So I'm a woman in this lifetime, and I worked on my conflict with my male nature. This was many years ago. Excuse me. And it was just a life-changing event. And I've worked on my male nature again several times, and including one this past week, which was really exciting because it made a big difference again. But I'm not talking about that now. But I want to talk about the female nature. Now, even if you're a man in this life, please understand that this relates to you too. You might not be able to relate to the concepts in this conscious mind of this life because you're a man, but you will recognize the elements that I'm going to talk about in women you know. And if you are a woman in this life, you're going to recognize some of this stuff within you. Maybe not everything, but you'll certainly understand the patterns. They're common patterns. I've done hundreds, if not thousands, of healings over the last 30 years. I've seen these patterns come up again and again, and I'm only going to talk about 4 today. They are very dominant ones, but they're not the only ones. I mean, we're very complex people. We're complex. So I'm just touching on it, and then I'll be doing that healing at the end, and I hope everyone will have a chance to work on it. Okay, so some of the background I just gave you. Wait a minute. I just have my notes. I don't want to forget anything. Okay. So the number one or not number one, but the first one I'm going to talk about is the whole idea that women experience. Wait, before I go to that, I did remember one thing. I want to just say that there is no criticism, or I don't mean to denigrate in any way, shape, or form any men, the male nature at all. It might seem that way from a few things that I'm going to say, but remember, we've all been men, and first of all, it's never part of what I'm here to do to denigrate anyone, let alone everyone, because if I'm denigrating males, I'm denigrating the entire humanities. We're not going there, okay? Really what I'm explaining is to bring enlightenment, to bring information, because if we understand these patterns, maybe we have some aha moments. Oh, wow, look, I never thought of that. Maybe I should work on letting those go, neutralizing those, understanding them instead of judging them. So I don't mean to denigrate. So that's another part of the background. But now I want to go back to the lesson. Okay, well, just as on this planet, most of the societies, not all, but most of the societies that we've all lived in on all the planets have been male-dominated societies. It doesn't mean there weren't some that were female-dominated. Of course, there were, but many of them were male-dominated, mainly because the man was bigger and stronger. And in the early lives of humanities, it's about subsistence living, dealing with the animal nature, which is acclimating or assimilating the animal nature and moving into the more and more human nature. So some of the earlier societies are very quote unquote primitive or more tribal-like, and where hunting was very important, getting the food, the big male was dominant and got the food easier. We've talked about this in the past. Anyway, so the female has been, when we're being female, we have been in societies for the most part that are male dominated, and we had a lesser status or no status at all, no property, no rights, really In some societies, virtually nothing. In some societies, we were actually slave-like. We were treated as slaves, and really were treated as second-class citizens, not important, not to be seen, not to be heard. We're not, we weren't smart, we weren't anything. So that less than pattern is pretty dominant. And of course, there are many lives where we weren't treated like that. Please understand that there were many positive lives that we led as females where it wasn't like these patterns I'm going to be talking about. But I'm not here to talk about all the wonderful lives, because those were wonderful, and it did not create difficult imprints, difficult energetics that we need to clear. So I'm talking about the difficulties that we've all experienced. Okay, and not just once, it's over and over and over again, and some of these patterns are deeply entrenched and carried forward into this life. Okay, reproductive issues. Okay, being the baby carrier, we had many, 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 many difficulties with being pregnant, giving birth, and raising children. We tend to romanticize, and I think you'll relate to this in some level, the image of a woman working in a tribal woman, or olden days or something, where women would work on the fields, they'd have their baby in the field, then they'd wrap the baby up and continue to work. And we're thinking, well, gee, it should be that easy. Why do we have all these hospitals and all of this kind of thing? Well, it's really a romantic image, because we have many, many difficulties with childbirth. We have babies that are too big. We have babies that are breech. We have babies that, the labor is 3-5 days long. And we have help with the medical field, or the alternative medical field. We have help here. But in those days, no. It's like the Dark Ages. There was no help. And so there was a tremendous amount of death, both of the babies and the mothers, because they had to, if it wasn't working in the fields, they had to keep up their duties, whatever it was in those lives. It could be child rearing, or it could be they're doing farming, or maybe they're gathering in some tribal society or whatever. But women usually did have to keep up a tremendous amount of work. You've heard the saying, men's work is from sun to sun, sun up to sun down, but women's work is never done, and that's the way it was in so many of those lifetimes. And so the birthing process was extremely difficult. A lot of loss, a lot of miscarriages, a lot of death, a lot of long-term disabilities because of it, and women did suffer in a lot of lives. Remember, there was no birth control. There was no birth control. So women just would have babies whenever they would have babies. And so it was very, very, very difficult, a lot of stress. Now, in the child rearing, we also romanticize. We romanticize about the extended family. So many of us grew up in a nuclear family. Yes, we had aunts and uncles around, or cousins, but not living with us, not in the same community necessarily. And so we romanticize those days when there was this extended family all around that could do all the helping. Well, first of all, keep in mind that every member of the extended family has a big burden too, because many of the lives that they've lived, or that we were living at those times, were subsistence living, a lot of disease, natural disasters, a lot of really difficult times getting food. And there wasn't just people sitting around, oh, I'll look after your children. They were busy doing whatever they needed to do too. In addition, all the relationship issues that we carry now into the nuclear family, or with friends and whatever, great discord, abandonment, betrayal, all sorts of relationship issues that we see all around us now. Trust me, they were present back then too. It wasn't all, sweetness and light. It was difficult. So the romanticizing of that, oh, well, child rearing wouldn't be such a bad thing because you have the extended family. Were there societies, were there cultures, were there times where that was great? Of course. But I'm emphasizing the difficulties, because often we get caught up in the romantic viewpoint and we don't get past it. But life was difficult in these societies that we've all been in for the most parts of our lives. We think that many of the societies were like this, and it just isn't that. It isn't so. We all had tremendous, tremendous suffering and trauma and difficulties. Now, the last thing I want to just talk about briefly, no, it's not the last, it's the second to last. The next thing I want to talk about is abuse. When you're less than, when you are somebody's property, when you're the doormat, when you're the technical slave, there is a tremendous amount of sexual abuse. And it comes in many different details. We could be part of some sort of harem, and, you know, we could be offered up to friends, male friends of our husband or whatever. Many of us would be in prostitution just to survive, whatever it looked like in whatever days. We could have been raped repeatedly, often. Oh my gosh, some of the rape images I've seen, horrific. So it's really, we had a tremendous amount of abuse. And even if it wasn't sexual abuse, we were often scapegoats. We were often blamed for whatever the problems were. We were easy targets, okay? And we were just attacked and blamed a lot simply because our status was really low. Who cared? Okay? Who cared? So, again, this is not a denigration on men, because wait till I get to you guys. Next month, I'm going to be doing the male nature and the hardships that you guys suffered, because the male nature has tremendous hardships too. So this is not a denigration. This is just saying this is the reality. This is the learning curve. This is the experiences that we all went through. Details would be different for each person, and some people won't be able to relate to it. I never was sexually abused in this life, ever. So I thought, oh, I don't have that pattern, you know? That's what I thought. Well, no. Trust me, a couple lives I've seen, oh my gosh, not good, guys, not good. So sometimes you can't relate to it, but we see plenty of sexual abuse, plenty of abuse, whether it's sexual or not, around the planet. So understand it's pretty entrenched. It is a pattern that is there from eons of time. Okay, the next thing I want to talk to you about quickly is, before I do the 5-minute or 8-minute healing, is dimming the light. Okay, because women have been abused, they've been punished, they've been scapegoats, they've been treated as slaves or doormats or property with no rights. They have learned, and often when they try to stand up for themselves, there'd be swift punishment. So what's happened is that women have often, and there are other reasons for this too. Remember, our lives are complicated. It's not just for this reason at all, but this is one of the reasons that women, quote unquote, dim their light. In other words, they learn to stand in the background. They learn to take on and accept the role they have, because in the entire society, women don't have any position of power. It's not just them, an individual, it's everyone. All the authorities in the town or the village, the spiritual authorities, the governmental authorities, whether it's some sort of tribal council or some bigger government thing. We have it even here in this country, in the U.S., with so many fewer women as mayors, as governors, as senators, president. We haven't had one yet. So it's even here, although, again, the glass ceiling is being broken more and more. But in some of these societies, there were no women at all that had any say in these kind of situations. They had no authority at all. Nobody would listen to them, not being heard. So they got used to that role, and they tried to make lemonade out of lemons. So you see that women have figured out often ways to come around the flanks to get what they want. There's manipulation, there's controlling, sometimes it's with genuine good intentions, because maybe some family member is ill or missing or whatever, and they're trying to get some male to take over to help to what for I'm making this up and so I don't have a good example, but that women did learn how to do that. And sometimes it was not for good intentions, it was for revenge or to get back at or whatever. But the whole thing about they're being manipulated and controlled, and they've learned how to do it back. And so this pattern is something that I think we see less and less of, but it is still there. And so it's going to be part of the healing. Let me just see if I forgot anything. Okay, there's also, because they're less than and because they're dimming the light, they've been told over the eons that they are sinners. They're not good. They don't deserve. That's a big thing. You don't deserve. This is why you just have to do whatever I say. If it's the male in the family saying, "Oh, you're the scapegoat. You don't deserve any better. You're a sinner. You're lowlier than my cow, which is more important than anything else, or my horse that's more important than anything else." So the women really get used to standing in the background, being the doormat, and they learn to cope with it as best they can. So a lot of the coping, and I could go on and on because there's way more, but we've all women, all the female nature has developed coping styles for this kind of thing. And because the planet itself is moving and expanding its own evolutionary energy right now, and because of the evolutionary thrust, a lot of these patterns now are coming into play. A lot of things are being pushed to expand. And that's what you're seeing, at least in this country, over the last few decades. And you will continue to see breakthroughs globally. And there have been breakthroughs in other places around the globe, as you all well know, and it will continue to be like that. And there'll be times where it seems like it's going backward because the authorities at hand, or the government, or the controlling powers, the powers in control, will squash any kind of movement. But it can't be squashed forever because everything is moving and opening. It all will be in its own timing. But anyway, we're going the right direction by doing the little healing that I'm going to do, and I hope you'll all take part. Is simply to help get rid of some of the garbage that stands in the way of this movement happening. It's going to happen anyway, but this will facilitate it and accelerate it, allow it to go forward with less trauma, less drama, less pain and suffering. So with that, and I got through this a lot quicker than I thought I would. With that, I'm going to ask that everyone, if you can, close your eyes, but you don't have to. I am going to close mine. It's that closing eye issue that comes up for me, but I'm fine with it now. All right, so let's close our eyes. And I want everyone to take a few deep breaths. If you listen to this, by the way, before I go on, and you can't close your eyes and really focus on it because you're driving the car or whatever, I want you to feel free to listen to it and then listen to it again when you can close your eyes. It's a short healing, but short doesn't matter. It's still going to get a lot done. All right, so let's start over again. Let's quiet the mind. Take a few deep breaths and bring the mind's eye to the right here and the right now. Begin to use that focus of attention. The focus of attention that we all have is the turn-on switch of the divine energies that we all carry. But before we continue with the amalgamation, the higher selves are indicating they want me to call in literally every single one of the humanities on this planet. That's male and female. Okay, and symbolically they're here. Of course, they're not here in person, but I see them symbolically here. And now we're to go through the amalgamation to include all of the humanities. And the focus of attention is going to be on the pure soul essence that we all carry. That's everything the originating source was, is, and is becoming. please understand that if any one of the individuals that we've called in do not want the healing, they will not get it. There is no trespass here. We're opening the door for every single one of humans, whether it's true humans or facade humans of the fifth dimensionals carrying the dual soul nature. Everyone is called in to join in the healing. If someone does not want it for whatever reason, which is completely unimportant, they will not receive it. There is no trespass here. So, okay, so we're all focusing in on the pure soul essence, and I see an absolutely brilliant, brilliant field of light. That light is so incredibly powerful. It's encompassing the totality of the planet. And the higher selves are asking that we create the Rainbow Bridge. I can't remember if I've done it on the radio before, but the Rainbow Bridge is a very powerful divine energy that allows all of the chakras of all of the humanities to be connected and in one with the chakras of the originating source, which helps bring all the chakras into the highest state of frequency that they can be at this moment in time. It also creates an actual rainbow bridge, and I'm not going to explain that because of the time issue. And I'm creating every single one of the people, past, present, and future listeners, and all of the humanities that are part of the show, any that are willing, are creating the rainbow bridge, and it's creating right in the center between me and the camera a symbolic platform, a very perfect, beautiful, powerful rainbow bridge energy, which is energy that is completely and totally balanced. Complete and total balanced energy cannot be discolored or distorted for any reason by anyone. So right there, the higher selves are asking that I bring in what they call a conglomerate energetic field. So it is the thought, form, habit, and emotional and creative bodies of all of the humanities. Now, of course, I'm just seeing, because it's not very big in front of me, I'm just being given a symbol of a symbolic ball of energetics, the energetic garbage that we all carry. This is just a symbol to indicate that we're working on the totality of all the humanities. Around this symbolic ball is another energetic field that the higher selves are telling me is symbolically representative of the astral. So while we're working on the energetics of each of the humanities, each of them and all of us that are accepting the healing, we are also sending energy into the astral field, because the astral carries all the thoughts of all the humanities of all time. And every time a woman felt or thought that she's less than, that thought also went into the astral. So we have a lot of astral energetics that we will be working on as well. We're doing a big, huge old thing here, but it's absolutely doable. These divine energies can certainly do that. So anyway, we are now standing in the center of the we're standing in the center of the pure soul essence light. It's a brilliant, brilliant light. I'm asking that we be amalgamated not only with our own higher selves, but the conglomerate higher selves of everyone present, of the totality around the planet, and calling in any other higher selves that are care to join with us. I do even see some conglomerate six-dimensional energy here. Not beings, but it's an energetic field, and it is adding its own energy. And so I'm about to cry because it's really, really powerful what's going on now. And I want to ask that this light that we've created now move in. Now, all of our lights that are joined will move in and we'll work on our own particular pattern, but I'm seeing the conglomerate, and I want the light to come in, and I want to infuse it with the higher heart consciousness energy, or divine love. And I want that divine love energy to move into the energetics and work on both anything that doesn't look like that, any less than, any lack, any I don't deserve, any I'm unimportant, I'm no one listens to me, no one hears me. All of that kind of thing. I want this divine love to go in and find lack of self-acceptance, lack of self-love, lack of self-worth. all of these patterns that as females, and remember men, you've all been females, you would all carry some elements of these issues. Of course, even if the male nature would carry less than too, so we'll see about that next month. But in any case, let's move all of this energy in and I see it, it's working so hard. It's moving into the astral section, and it's working to neutralize all of the same kind of thoughts. It's working on this conglomerate, and I see the ball already lightening up just with the divine love energy. It's so, so powerful. It's the highest healing energy we can use at this level, the higher heart consciousness at this level in the human kingdom. So it's very powerful. I want to also have the divine light move in and neutralize the pain, the suffering, the trauma, the drama, the fears, tremendous amount of fear. Oh my gosh, because of all of the instances of abuse or difficulties with childbearing and child rearing, anything and everything related to the situation as the female. Okay, right, this is interesting. Right at the heart of the ball, I am seeing a female image right at the heart. And this is the female image that we are to empower. Oh yeah, because we're running out of time. So the female image that we are to empower, and she looks very powerful. She looks like Wonder Woman, but not with all the costuming, but just that kind of, stance, persona, strong, powerful, beautiful, caring, loving, all of that, not suffering. And so we want the light of the divine feminine nature to move in to empower this image. And this image is growing, and it's being provided, all this divine feminine nature is being provided for all women around the planet. And as it grows, it's like there isn't enough space in a way for some of the other patterns and issues that the female nature would carry. And so a lot is being dispersed into the light. It's as if the divine feminine nature is moving in and saying, wait a minute, I don't need those old thoughts, those old behaviors, those old anything. And a lot of the fear is being moved out, a lot of the resentment, a lot of revenge, a lot of vengeance, a lot of it's not fair, it's not just, because you can imagine we've all felt that when we were less than. So all of those things are being pushed out, so to speak, by this divine light of the divine feminine. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now the astral, the image of the astral is definitely changing. It is lightening up around the feminine kind of issues that I've been talking about in the show. In fact, there is divine male nature is moving in as well because of the need for balance. So I am going to say we're calling in the divine male nature as well. It is there, and it's going to come in even more next time, and I think I'm going to see the image of the balance of the male and the female next time, but I just want everyone to know that the divine masculine nature or divine male nature is also coming in, and it's helping to empower. I love this. It's helping to empower the divine feminine. So there's more their divine connection and divine communication and divine support, divine respect. All of that is part of this male nature coming in, and it's working its magic. So it's all good, you guys. And with that, I want to just ask the higher selves to put the cocoon around us. Yeah, the cocoon is around. The cocoon just helps with the acclimation. And I didn't say it, but I do want you to know that we did become one with the originating source. It happened sort of automatic pilot for me. So sometimes I don't mention it, but it's important to mention it because it's important to have in consciousness. So I do apologize, but it was there. We were tapped right into that divine network big time, and utilizing the resources of all of the souls at every level. Okay, so it is time to sign off. So I want to just say, if you want to get in touch with me, jvvmrichmond@gmail.com. Please send me an email, suggestions, questions. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I did get somebody who asked me a question about last week. Ooh, I have to remember to put it on next week, because if somebody has a question, then somebody else will have a question. If one person does, somebody else will. So, in any case, I really love you guys. Have a wonderful week, and I'm not sure yet what I'm doing next week. I have a couple of fun ideas, but in any case, I will be back. Oh, no, I won't. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so glad I said something. No, I won't be on next week because I'm traveling. I'm going to go see my daughter. And so I will not be on the radio next week. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot. So in 2 weeks, I will be back in 2 weeks. So have a wonderful 2 weeks and a wonderful holiday. I think it's Memorial Day here in the States. So have a wonderful holiday. And until 2 weeks, I'll see you then. Okay.